You are doing everything right. You skipped the donuts. You walked right past the sugary cereals in the grocery aisle. You intentionally chose the healthy breakfast because you care about your health, your mobility, and your future. But what if I told you that the very foods you are eating to protect your body, foods highly recommended by wellness influencers and packaged in beautiful, earthy-looking boxes, are actually triggering a silent metabolic crisis before 9 a.m.? I'm Dr. Robert Harrison. In my decades of practice, the most frustrating pattern I see isn't the patient who completely neglects their health. It's the patient who cares deeply, who tries incredibly hard, but who is being actively betrayed by misleading food marketing. I see patients over 55 coming into my office exhausted, struggling with their weight, and frustrated by their lab results, even though their morning routine looks picture perfect on the surface. Today, I am going to show you exactly why your intentional, clean morning routine might be causing unexplained fatigue, stubborn midsection weight gain, or creeping numbers on your routine blood work. More importantly, I am going to give you the 10-second simple food swaps to fix this metabolic trap without giving up the flavors you love. Not later, not sometimes, right now. To understand why this betrayal is happening, you have to understand a crucial biological concept, the fasted morning state. When you wake up, your body is in a unique, highly sensitive physiological posture. You haven't eaten for 8, maybe 10 or 12 hours. Your liver, which stores energy, is depleted. To get you out of bed, to wake your brain up and prepare you for the physical demands of the day, your body releases a natural surge of a stress hormone called cortisol. We call this the cortisol awakening response. This is completely normal, beautiful human biology. It's a mechanism passed down through generations that kept our ancestors alive. But cortisol does something very specific. It temporarily increases your insulin resistance. It primes your blood to keep energy available so you can hunt, gather, and move. Here is where the modern world completely betrays our ancient biology. When you introduce a massive, rapid payload of liquid or easily digestible sugar into this specific, highly sensitive morning environment, your metabolic system doesn't just process it gently, it gets completely overwhelmed. You are driving cumulative metabolic overload, day after day, without a single obvious warning sign. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. We'll call him David. David is a 62-year-old retired architect living in Austin, Texas. David is the definition of disciplined. He bikes 3 times a week, he avoids fast food, and he genuinely cares about staying strong and active for his grandchildren. But a few months ago, David sat in my exam room looking completely defeated. His routine blood work had just come back. His A1C, which measures his average blood sugar over 3 months, was creeping right up into the pre-diabetic range. His triglycerides were climbing. He looked at me, completely baffled, and said, "Dr. Harrison, I don't understand. I eat a clean diet. I don't eat dessert. I start every single morning with a massive, fresh tropical fruit smoothie. Spinach, mango, pineapple, a whole banana. David thought he was giving his body a bulletproof superfood defense. He had no idea he was delivering a daily metabolic bomb. And that brings us to the very first trap of the healthy morning, the liquid sugar bomb. I am talking about fruit juices, cold-pressed cleanses, and those massive blended smoothies. Here is the biological reality that the wellness industry refuses to put on their labels. When you eat a whole apple or a whole handful of berries, the natural fructose is locked inside a complex architectural matrix of fiber. Think of fiber as your body's internal traffic control system. It forces your digestive tract to work hard, breaking the fruit down slowly and releasing the sugar into your bloodstream in a slow, steady, manageable trickle. Your liver handles this easily. Your pancreas releases a gentle amount of insulin. Everything remains stable. But when you take 3 servings of tropical fruit, throw them into a high-powered blender, and pulverize them for 60 seconds, you mechanically destroy that protective fiber matrix. You are essentially doing the digestion before the food ever enters your mouth. What was once a slow-release complex carbohydrate has just been transformed into a rapid liquid sugar payload. The glycemic index of that fruit completely changes. When David drank that smoothie at 7 a.m. on an empty stomach, bathed in that natural morning cortisol, that liquid sugar hit his bloodstream like a freight train. His pancreas panicked. It had to pump out massive amounts of insulin just to clear the sudden flood of glucose. This violent spike is inevitably followed by a steep crash. It's the reason why, by 10:30 a.m., David was feeling brain fog, craving a carbohydrate snack, and feeling inexplicably tired. Worse, Day after day, that massive morning insulin spike signals the body to take all that excess circulating energy and store it directly as visceral fat, the dangerous inflammatory fat around your organs. David was doing everything he was told to do. The intention was perfect, but your good intentions deserve accurate biological preparation. You cannot outsmart your liver with a blender. If you are starting your morning with liquid fruit, you are setting off a glycemic alarm bell in a rested, fasted body. Now, perhaps you are listening to this and thinking, Dr. Harrison, I don't drink smoothies or juices. I eat a sensible bowl of yogurt and granola for my gut health. If that sounds like you are falling into the exact same biological pothole, just wearing a different pair of shoes. This brings us to the second morning mistake, the ancient sugar trap. For the last 20 years, the food industry has spent billions of dollars convincing us that if a box has a picture of a farm on it or uses words like ancient grains, probiotic, or artisan, it is automatically medicine for your body. This is one of the most successful health washing campaigns in modern history. Let me tell you about Sarah, a 65-year-old grandmother from suburban Chicago. Sarah came to my clinic because she was experiencing terrible mid-morning energy crashes and unexplained joint stiffness. She was incredibly diligent about her diet. Every morning, she sat down with a bowl of probiotic vanilla bean yogurt topped with organic, gluten-free granola. She genuinely believed she was building a healthy microbiome, but when we actually turned those packages around and looked at the labels together, the truth was staggering. That single, innocent-looking cup of flavored yogurt contained 22 grams of added sucrose. The half cup of artisan granola she poured on top added another 12 grams of sugar from honey and agave nectar. Before 8 a.m., Sarah was consuming 34 grams of pure sugar. That is more sugar than you would find in a standard candy bar or a can of soda. When you eat that much refined sugar on an empty stomach, you are not nurturing your gut microbiome. You are actively feeding the pathogenic inflammatory bacteria in your intestines while starving the beneficial ones. And because her stomach was empty, that sugar passed rapidly into her small intestine and directly into her bloodstream. Her pancreas was forced into overdrive, pumping out insulin to manage the crisis. The resulting blood sugar crash an hour later is exactly what caused her crippling fatigue. She was eating a dessert disguised as a breakfast, and it is not her fault. It is not your fault if you have been doing this. You were following the rules you were given. But those rules were written by marketing executives, not by human biology. I want to pause here and ask you a direct question. I want to hear from you right now. Which of these morning habits are you doing? Are you a smoothie drinker or are you a yogurt and granola person? Drop it in the comments below because I promise you, you are definitely not the only one. Awareness is the very first step to taking your power back. Now, let's move to the third mistake. This is the one that shocks my patients the most because almost everyone believes they are doing themselves a massive favor. The third trap is the dessert coffee. Let me be completely clear. Black coffee is magnificent for your health. It is packed with antioxidants and is highly hepatoprotective, meaning it actively protects your liver. If you drink your coffee black, you are doing great. But almost nobody drinks it black anymore. The modern wellness industry has convinced millions of seniors to replace standard milk with heavily engineered, plant-based alternatives or hyper-processed creamers. Consider Marcus, a 58-year-old disciplined professional living in Seattle. Marcus read about the benefits of intermittent fasting, so he strictly avoids solid food until noon. But at 7:30 a.m. every morning, he drinks a large dark roast coffee mixed with a heavy pour of barista blend oat milk. He thought because it was vegan and dairy-free, it was the perfect clean fuel. Here is what nobody tells you about barista-style oat milks. To make oat milk froth beautifully like regular milk, manufacturers have to chemically and mechanically break down the complex carbohydrates in the oats into pure liquid maltose. Maltose is a type of sugar that actually has a higher glycemic index than standard white table sugar. On top of that, they emulsify it with industrial seed oils, like rapeseed or canola oil, to give it that creamy texture. Marcus wasn't fasting. He was drinking a 300-calorie cocktail of pure maltose and inflammatory oils on a completely empty stomach. His cortisol was peaking, his body was in a sensitive fasted state, and he was hitting it with a liquid carbohydrate payload that spiked his insulin just as violently as a glazed donut would have. His fasting blood glucose was creeping up every single year, and he had absolutely no idea why. The next time you have a routine checkup, I want you to ask your doctor or your pharmacist this exact question. Could my morning coffee creamer or barista oat milk be the reason my fasting glucose is creeping up? No krenster ons, no certsters. Watch their eyes light up. Most doctors never think to ask what you put in your coffee, but it is often the missing piece of the metabolic puzzle. This brings us to the fourth hidden danger. While the first three are driven by stealthy sugars, this one attacks your cardiovascular system directly. The fourth mistake is the weekend cardiovascular trap. I am talking about the traditional, hearty breakfast, bacon, sausage, and heavily processed meats. We have known for a long time that processed meats are linked to inflammation, but the danger multiplies exponentially when you consume them first thing in the morning. Think about the physical state of your body when you wake up. You have been exhaling moisture and sweating slightly for 8 hours. You are naturally and profoundly dehydrated. Your blood volume is slightly lower, which means your blood is physically thicker and more viscous. Your heart is already working a little harder just to push that thicker blood through your vascular system. Now, imagine introducing a massive payload of industrial sodium, chemical nitrites, and oxidized fats into that dehydrated system before you have even had a proper glass of water. When you eat processed bacon or sausage on an empty, dehydrated stomach, that massive influx of sodium causes your blood vessels to rapidly pull in whatever fluid they can find, immediately spiking your blood pressure. You are forcing a resting, dry engine to pump thick, inflammatory sludge exactly when your cardiovascular system is at its most vulnerable. This profound stress on morning blood pressure is a significant, yet rarely discussed, reason why a disproportionate number of cardiovascular events occur in the early hours of the day. You are asking your heart to do the heavy lifting of processing industrial preservatives before you have given it the basic hydration it needs to function. It is a recipe for disaster, disguised as a comforting tradition. So, what are we supposed to do? Do we have to give up breakfast entirely and live on water and plain lettuce? Absolutely not. I do not want you to be miserable. I want you to be metabolically resilient. The solution is not deprivation. The solution is what I call the 20-minute buffer rule, and it will completely change the way your body handles your morning routine. Remember the biological problem we talked about earlier, hitting a fasted, empty, highly sensitive digestive tract with rapid sugars or inflammatory sludge. To disarm that bomb, you simply need to build a protective shield inside your body first. If you refuse to give up your morning smoothie or your sweetened oat milk latte, you must change the order in which you consume them. 20 minutes before you drink that liquid sugar, I want you to eat a small handful of raw walnuts, almonds, or even a few bites of a whole apple with the skin on. Here's the biology of why this works so beautifully. When that whole food hits your empty stomach first, the natural fats, proteins, and intact fiber create a physical matrix. They literally coat the lining of your upper intestine. They slow down gastric emptying. So, when that smoothie or coffee arrives 20 minutes later, it doesn't rush into your bloodstream like a tsunami. It is forced to navigate through that structural buffer. Your blood sugar rises as a gentle rolling hill instead of a violent spike. Your pancreas releases a steady, manageable amount of insulin. Your liver isn't overwhelmed. You stay energized, and your body stays out of metabolic crisis mode. For your yogurt and granola, the fix is even easier. Stop buying the pre-flavored traps. Buy plain, full-fat, or low-fat Greek yogurt, which is packed with muscle-preserving protein, and sweeten it yourself. Throw in a handful of fresh blackberries or raspberries. Add a generous dash of cinnamon, which actually helps improve cellular insulin sensitivity. You get all the flavor, all the genuine gut benefits, and absolutely none of the metabolic overload. And if your tradition is the weekend bacon and eggs, the defense starts the moment your feet hit the floor. Drink a large, full glass of water 30 minutes before that food touches your plate. Rehydrate your vascular system so your heart isn't forced to pump thick, sodium-loaded blood through dry pipes. Give your body the fluid it needs to handle the processing. Let's go back to David, the 62-year-old architect from Austin, who was unknowingly drinking his way toward prediabetes. We didn't put him on a restrictive, miserable diet. We simply adjusted his morning geometry. He swapped his massive tropical fruit smoothie for a smaller one, heavily based on greens and a high-quality protein, and he made sure to use the 20-minute buffer rule by eating a handful of almonds right when he woke up. He created a shield. Within 3 months, his A1C dropped back down into a beautiful, safe range. His triglycerides plummeted, and that terrible mid-morning brain fog he thought was just a normal part of getting older, it completely vanished. David's story is the proof I want you to hold on to today. Your body is not failing you. Your metabolism isn't broken just because you are over 55. It is simply reacting exactly the way human biology is programmed to react to modern, engineered foods. But the moment you align your habits with your biology, your body's capacity to regenerate and heal is absolutely breathtaking. You have the power to change your metabolic trajectory starting tomorrow morning. It doesn't cost extra money. It doesn't require a prescription. It just requires knowing the truth about what you are eating. Now, I have one final request for you. Think of one person in your life right now who starts every morning trying their absolute hardest to be healthy. Someone who eats the exact things we just talked about. Your spouse, your sister, your best friend. They are doing their best, but they are trapped in this same biological mistake. I want you to send this video to them right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Because this information costs absolutely nothing, but not having it costs too much. And I want to know what you are going to do next. Down in the comments, write starting today if you are going to use the 20-minute buffer rule tomorrow morning. Doni sur tadkinai, sir havo. Write asking my doctor if you are taking these questions about your morning routine to your next appointment. Or write sending this if you have already thought of the person who needs to hear this message. Make sure you save this video so you can come back to it and hit subscribe so you never miss the truth about how to protect your health as you age. I'm Dr. Robert Harrison. Stay informed, stay resilient, and I will see you in the next video.